morning and welcome to this week's edition of Money and Markets. I'm Shamim K. Matovu.
And I'm Charles Boji. Now, quite interesting, Shamim. Of course, the rains are here and we've been waiting for them for quite some time because the dry weather has really beaten us hard. Uganda is by and large an agro-based economy. Majority of Ugandans depend on agriculture. Now, when the rains come, we cry. When it shines so much, we cry. I don't know what to read from that, Shamim.
And I believe that the divinity should be thinking, what's wrong with my people? Because definitely we've seen that when it rains, the floods are really heavy, that we lose lives, we lose property, and many people get stuck in the traffic.
Well, it only says one thing. It's time that we up the game in the way we do agriculture. Once again, it's Money and Markets. Welcome to the show.
We live in very uncertain times. Obviously, from the time of COVID-19, many people lost hope, lost their businesses, and people were stuck. And obviously, from the changes that we're experiencing, including climate change, it's very important that we understand the importance of insurance in our lives.
Well, of course, this all speaks to one thing, risks. And once you talk about risks, you talk about insurance. So today we try to find out how the industry is prepared to actually off-take this risk from businesses and households.
The economy is struggling because of inflation. Inflation is like sitting on the edge of a knife edge for insurance. For the rest of the industry and the prospective customers, it might appear like their wallets are being squeezed to actually subscribe to insurance. To those in, particularly I will speak for life insurance or life and pensions, it has its own advantages when there's some inflation, because normally the central bank responds by increasing interest rates. So the interest rate has increased from, I think it was under 6.5 at the beginning of the year, and from then it has moved on to 10, above 10. So what that means is the central bank is trying to cut down spending on non-essential items, and through making it harder for people to access credit. That away has a positive impact for the people who have bought life insurance, because for policies where people earn bonuses, or in banking they call it interest, they are likely to make it big in that year, because as inflation comes in, their money also grows at a similar pace to beat inflation in future. So that said, it's not always very good for the economy to have high inflation. We believe it's temporary, and the current war that is going on, it's something that is only addressed by change in mindset. The change in mindset in stopping to look at insurance as an expense, but looking at it as a fallback position that everyone must have. And when times are hard, it's not the time to run away from it. It's the time actually to realize that you made the right choice. And we've had enough signals in this country. We can use all the prejudices to debate, but we've had enough instances. 1 year ago, it was almost a given, a matter of life and death, that those people who had health insurance are the ones who could afford to have some treatment when COVID was here. So we are having a war now. There is high inflation. We still have to take children to school in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, 3 years' time. So having life insurance is not just a matter of being fashionable. It is just a way of planning for the inevitable. And it's times like this that bring the relevance out. We as the players, we will continue knocking on your doors to get you to realize this reality and embrace it and get it. If I can speak particularly from insurance, but broadly to all businesses, there's one area that we cannot afford not to take a lesson from, which is risk management. As insurers, we are the epitome of risk management. We go to people and ask them to transfer their risk to us. Organizations transfer your risk to us. Also us, we have to be. We cannot just be preachers, we have to live the gospel. So looking at the 360 degree of risk management is how are we dealing with a day-to-day risk management, and how are we engaging with our stakeholders? How are we working with the regulator? Can we have a roadmap in case we are in trouble? Can we raise more capital? Can we create a framework where we can have more capital raised in a not so expensive way? Like listing on a stock exchange sometimes might be expensive initially, but it helps to boost confidence and create more oversight into the industries. So for us to be able to manage the business beyond generations is we have to let the people outside in. By letting people outside in is making sure we are more disclosing of what we do to the different stakeholders, the customers, the media, the regulator, the government, and our internally, so that people can actually not only appreciate more of our services, but they can pick some of the positive aspects we are doing and also give us feedback on the aspects we need to improve in. But that said, it's not that easy sometimes. Sometimes disasters come from angles that you don't know. Business and economics is not a science. You cannot have a formula that will withstand all conditions. Like, Newton's laws of motion haven't changed since he came up with them. Such things won't survive in the business world because dynamics change. So, investing in research and development for most of these companies is something that is no longer an option. It has to be there so that, risk management function is aided with a lot of this information coming in to anticipate these risks and dealing with them before they come. And they build what we all desire most, continuity, sustainability. That's something that, sometimes takes a lot of sacrifice to get, but we can get there. I think as an economy, we are headed in the right direction, despite the current challenges, which I think are temporary. We can learn from what has happened in the neighboring countries to improve our corporate governance, and we build the confidence in the market.
Now, we've all experienced the increased prices of goods and services, especially in our household and businesses. Case in point, the cost on fuel.
Well, economists will tell you that is inflation rising. Now, today we're trying to explore the factors responsible for this push in the general increase in prices of goods and services, and what can be done to arrest the situation.
The drought has hit agriculture, and agriculture in the price index is one of the biggest items besides fuel. So you find that when that big item of food is hit by drought, it has got implications on the supply of food in the country. And if the supply drops, even with the constant demand domestically of the same number of people consuming the same amount of commodities, you find that the price gap comes up, and that contributes a lot to inflation.
The situation was made worse by a major jump in the fuel prices, coupled with the depreciation of the shilling against the dollar, making a bulk of items, mainly imported, quite expensive. This is coming on the back of a high oscillated economic growth curve for the country, mainly pushed by COVID and global realities that are beyond Uganda's control.
The economy is a mirror image of the global. Whatever has been happening at the global level has come down, the pass-through effect came down to us. And in the first major outcome was the drop in the growth. Our growth went down like a pack of cards. In 2019, Ugandan economy, our GDP was growing at 7.7%, calendar, not financial. But this went to minus 1.4% in 2020 as a calendar year growth performance. But Ugandan economy, because of our resilience, we recovered quickly. It is a V-shaped recovery. We recovered, and last year, calendar year, 2021, we grew by 5.1%. This year, 2022, the projection, there will be a slight reduction in growth to 4.9%.
To officials at the nation's treasury, this is the time for prudence, especially in decision-making, to reverse the trend of things and offer reprieve
to households.
Sticking to macroeconomic stability as the overriding goal. Macroeconomic stability. This is not theory, it's the life of people. They depend on a stable environment, low inflation, sustained growth, and affordable cost of living. This should depend on sound economic policy, not on common sense.
It is such prudence in policy making and implementation that is being counted on for price reprieve to be realized by households, but also for the country to see full recovery next year, with expected growth of 6.5%, above the 6% projection.
Now we take a very short break. Money and Markets continues.